Time is gone 6 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock. It is a very good evening to you. Welcome to our broadcast this evening. And it's brought to you courtesy of Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, in partnership with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Welcome to it. We're going to be together for the next hour. And this is called the Let's Talk Justice, Live Your Rights program. My name is Karabo Lance. Ke thabela go ba le wena maitsebeng a le go no motheletši go omegele le wena mo kgašong ya rena yona o itlišetšwa ke ba ga Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, ga mmogo le kgoro ya tšweletšopele ya molaotheo ya toka le tšweletšopele ya molaotheo, which is the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. This is going to be a multilingual show, by the way, so we'd like to invite you to speak to us in any language of your choice. You're more than welcome to speak English or Afrikaans, which is the basis of our, which is going to be the base language of our conversation this evening. Otherwise, any of the Nguni languages, any of the Sesotho languages, you're more than welcome to do that. Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS, nomnyango we Justice and Constitutional Development. Kamalam Karabo Lance, ngejabula mlaleli ukuthi nawe wayenza isikhathi sokuthi ube nathi namhlanje sike sikhulume ngento ebalekile, very important matters that we need to discuss this evening, and hopefully you and I are going to be learning quite a lot. I'm always looking forward to these shows because you walk out of here and you've learned quite a lot. You've learned quite a lot as far as justice and the Constitution of South Africa is concerned. As always, every Thursday I'm being joined by visitors, a visitor, two visitors, three sometimes. Sometimes I have a whole army in here, but this evening around I've been joined by two people or two representatives coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. I'm talking about the person that's holding the position of the Assistant Director, Master of the High Court, Miss Pitse, Sophie. She's in the studio with us, as well as the Assistant Master, Mathye Katekani. It's a very good evening to you both. Thank you so much for having made time to come and be with us. On episode 10 of our broadcast this evening, the Guardians Fund. If it's something new to somebody's ear, they're listening to it or they're hearing about it for the first time, Mathye Katekani, when we're talking about the Guardians Fund, what exactly are we talking about?
Thank you, Karabo, and I'm pleased to be on studio this evening to discuss the Guardian Fund. The Guardian Fund is a statutory trust established in terms of Chapter 5 of the Administration of Estates Act 66 of 1965. What is this Guardian Fund? It falls under the administration of the Master of the High Court. It is a fund created to hold and administer funds which are paid to the Master on behalf of various persons, known or unknown. For example, minors, persons incapable of managing their own affairs, unborn heirs, missing or absent persons, or persons having interest in the money of usufructuary, fiduciary, or fideikommissary nature. Remember, each master has its own Guardian Fund. Then, what is the purpose of this Guardian Fund? The purpose of the Guardian Fund is to protect the funds of minors, persons lacking legal capacity and competency, known or unknown, absent as well as untraceable heirs.
All right. Now, when we're talking about people or persons that are lacking legal competence and capacity, obviously we're talking about people that are not, maybe just to add there, people who are not law practitioners, they're not exposed to the law as such. But when it comes to capacity, people who are lacking legal competence and capacity, if we stretch it up until there, what exactly, what types of people are those exactly?
First, thank you, Karabo, for that. People who are lacking capacity, for example, I would say minor children, a person under the age of 14, but it has been increased up to the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, you are lacking legal capacity and competency. Right. And there are those people who are being declared what we call the people who cannot manage their own affairs. Mm-hmm. Yes, those are the people whom the master's office administer their funds.
All right. Sophie, now maybe you should jump in on this one here. how do we contribute, or who contributes to the Guardians Fund?
The money that comes to the Guardian Fund is the money that comes from the Government Employees Pension Fund, whereby people who were working for the government, when they passes on and they have minor beneficiaries, and their money is deposited into the Guardian Fund for the Guardian Fund to administer those funds.
All right. Now the beneficiaries, because say for instance I'm a government employee myself, and God forbid one passes on, and obviously the funds have been deposited there into the Guardians Fund. The procedures of beneficiaries, we have stated that known or unknown, but as far as family members, do they have access to those funds? Katekani?
Yes, Karabo. Just to add on what Sophie just mentioned, that we don't only take money from the government employee pension fund. Let's say, for example, you passed away, God forbid, as you have said, and then when your estate get administered, that portion which is supposed to go to the minor children or your children who are still under the age of 18, that money then gets deposited into the Guardian Fund. And once it's in a Guardian Fund, if those kids are still minors, then the guardian, who will be the surviving spouse, if any, or anyone who's looking after those children, can claim that money from the Guardian Fund. There are processes which must be followed when claiming that particular money.
I'm joined by two representatives coming from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, and they're the people who are directly involved with the issue, the Guardians Fund, and we've just heard a little bit in terms of what it is and how it works and so forth. And their names are Pitse, Sophie, as well as Mathye Katekani. They're both coming from the department, and we'd like to thank them for the time that they've taken to be with us. Moving on with our conversation, quite an interesting topic this evening, I must say. The functions of the Guardians Fund, if we can list them, somebody might want to know. When we're talking about funds, we'd like to know what these funds actually do. Maybe Pitse, you want to jump in there, the functions?
Whenever the Guardian Fund receives money from the GPF and other organizations, the Guardian Fund will issue a receipt to those organizations, and then the Guardian Fund will open an account in the name of the person to whom the money belongs to. And that money in the Guardian Fund is invested with the Public Investment Commission so that the beneficiaries can get their interest. And also the function of the Guardian Fund is to advertise those monies that were not claimed for the period that it became claimable. And also the master has a duty to pay the guardian the money on behalf of the minor children when they apply for the school fees, the maintenance, and the clothes.
All right. Is there some form of proof that one would have to produce that they are the legal guardian? Does it have to even be legal guardians, or maybe somebody that's taken the children in and so forth? Do they need to provide some form of a proof when they come and claim these funds?
For the monies that we receive from GPF will usually give us a name of the guardian that the deceased has nominated before he passed on. Mm-hmm. And then the guardian, by the time he comes to the department to apply for those monies, he must bring his ID and also the birth certificate of the children and that letter from GPF.
All right. Kusaf, let's take some callers. Zokona, good evening to you.
Yeah, Baba.
Siyaphila kunjani baba?
Siyaphila baba. Mina kuyiredio Khwezi.
Siyabonga Khwezi.
Yebo baba. Ngicela ukuza lapho baba ukuthi mangifisa ukuthola ulwazi mayelana nendaba zamaclaim kumaster, yiliphi mhlambe la KZN lilaphi office yakhona?
Okay, eGreat Town angisho.
Yebo.
Okay, we'll find out. Sizobabuza bazositshela ukuthi lapho eGreat Town umuntu angayaphi kuyokhulumisana nalabo abantu badila ngama Guardians Fund. Siyabonga baba. Where is that office in Great Town? Do you know?
The offices that we are having in KZN is Master Durban and Master Pietermaritzburg and Magistrate Empangeni.
All right, so those two areas in Durban, Pietermaritzburg and Empangeni. Do we have the numbers?
You can dial 035 772 1711.
Well, that's the one in Empangeni.
Yes.
All right, 1711.
Yes.
All right, Empangeni, and then the one in Durban.
In Durban, you can dial 031 306 0123.
100%. So those are the two offices bawumzokhona lapha eGreat Town ungathi asinalo le office ama masters lama office akhona lapha eMpangeni mawungaya eMpangeni 035 772 1711 035 772 1711. Okay, Jason, you're calling from the Western Cape in George. How's George this evening?
I'm cold, raining.
This is a good time to relocate to GP. Hey, Jason.
Ek dink so.
U vraag asseblief.
Die vraag wat ek graag wil weet is persone wat beginsel is van hierdie fonds. Indien hierdie persoon ook nie meer, want baie kere word die persone mos nou geregistreer en hulle name word ingesit deur die guardian, so te stel. As die persoon nie meer met die familie is nie, maar hy of sy beginsel, wat is daar iets in plek om te sê maar iemand anders kan as beginselde aangestel word of die posisie inneem om het so te stel?
All right, Jason. Just to give an example, would it be safe maybe the person is divorced or maybe relocated and that type of thing?
One of that, or maybe that person died maybe before, but the document still has the person's name on it. As the person that will handle the funds at the end of the day.
Okay. All right, let's see how we go around. That's a very interesting one. Very baie interessante ene daar, Jason. Ek sê vir jou dankie hoor.
Baie dankie.
So let's chat about this, Jason, the issue that he's raising now. If the person is no longer with the family, that's the part I want to actually concentrate on, is no longer with the family as far as the Guardian's funds is concerned. How does the department go about to make sure that the funds are allocated correctly and all the procedures are done correctly if the person is no longer, say for instance, divorce maybe or something of that matter? What are the procedures there? Maybe you can jump in, man.
Do you mean the guardian is no longer with the family?
Correct, yeah.
If the guardian is no longer with the family and the child is staying with another people, a new guardian has to be appointed, whereby the new guardian can go to the High Court to get the custodian of the child, or also can go to the social workers to get the custody of that child.
All right. What qualifies a person to be a guardian? What is it that the department will look for? Because but we know that knowing very well maybe a family had somebody mobile funds are done, funds are there, or funds could be there, and then by katamates and that type of thing. What is it that the department is looking for from a person who can be appointed as a guardian? Are there selection criteria with regards to that?
That has to go through the courts. You go through the magistrate courts where they involve social workers. They scrutinize you and they check and verify if indeed you qualify to be the guardian or you are indeed looking after the particular minor child. It's not the situation where one can nominate himself or herself or come to the master's office, guardian funds, and say, look, I'm the guardian, and then he presents us the story and then we say, okay, fine, you're the guardian. It's a process which has to go through courts.
Preferably family members are given preference. Would that be correct?
Yeah, naturally it's like that, but legally, you have to produce evidence. If you are a family member but you cannot look after that particular minor child, it won't be automatic that you become the guardian.
So let's talk about the Guardian's fund structure, because there is a thing like that. Maybe you want to jump in there?
The guardian fund structure, whenever the guardian fund receives the money is divided into two categories. Is the interest-bearing money and the non-interest-bearing money. The interest-bearing money is for the money for the minor children that is being accepted in the guardian fund. And the non-interest-bearing money is the money for those unraised people who are over the age of 18 years. And also under the non-interest-bearing, we are having the commission, whereby we charge 5% interest for all those creators who were not raised by the time their company was closing down.
All right, cool stuff. Very interesting. Now, you mentioned, Nkore, I think the interest-bearing ones give for the untraced people.
The minor beneficiaries.
Right. So now, what happens if people cannot be traced? How long do we keep those funds for? And what happens to those funds? Or if should there be a limit of time that the funds are kept? What happens then?
The Guardian Fund will keep that money for a period of 30 years. After 30 years, if that person doesn't come forth, that money will be forfeited to the state.
So it goes back to the state.
Yes.
At least it's not lost. You know, you can go back and do something for Batobaro, Namonake, to try to help us. All right. So Haki Yako, the Guardian's Fund. Mona, what must I have with me in terms of documentation? And then when I do get to the offices, what can I expect the person that's going to be helping me to do?
Thank you, Karabo. When claiming money from the Guardian Fund, there are types of people who can claim money from the Guardian Fund. They can be minors, guardians, the what we call the usufructuary, those who claim for interest, and then the fidecommissary. But let me start with the common ones, where the money is there for the Guardian Fund, and there's a guardian looking after the particular minor. Mm-hmm. The guardian will come into the Guardian Fund. If he's coming for the first time, he or she will come with a document identifying and approving her as a guardian.
Right.
Then that particular person, when he comes in or she comes in there, we check on the system to verify that the child whom she's coming to claim for is on the system, and if the money is in there. What we require from her is, if the guardian is claiming money for the maintenance of the particular child, they can do so through the application form called J341. In that particular application, where there's a particular information of the account holder, who will be the minor. And then we will need the supporting document, because it's money for the maintenance of the minor. If it's for the minor, you claim only for maintenance. That can be for the school fees, university fees, boardings, and other supporting needs which you can motivate for them. And the ID copy of that particular person who's claiming as a guardian. And we do what we call the fingerprint to verify that the person who's claiming is indeed a particular person.
So it's you do have a biometric system that runs it as well?
We do have, yes, sir.
That's awesome. All right. Now, for the minors, I'm quite worried about this one, because if a minor comes in to come and claim, it could be a tricky one, this one. What are we looking at as far as the beneficiary being a minor?
The beneficiary who's still a minor cannot come and claim on himself or herself. The guardian has to do that on their behalf. The only time when the minor can come and claim is when that particular minor has turned 18, of which it will no longer be a minor, or upon marriage, or upon the declaration by the court that this person has 10 majority. Then that particular person can claim on her behalf, in person. They can claim the whole money, including the interest in that particular account. Then what we will need there, we will need the ID of that particular person, the marriage certificate if the person is married, and then we need a court order if that person has attained majority through court processes. And what we do the biometric fingerprints, where we verify that it's indeed this particular person who's the owner of the money in the Guardian Fund. All right.
Here's a big word, as whore, but answer factories. Did I mention it correctly?
The usufructuary.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right, we're learning every day. You see, usufructuaries. I'm telling you. Can I use that word anyway? Maybe in my conversation, we're like, usufructuary, meaning a pen. I'm just joking. All right, tell us more about that. I would like to find out a little bit about that. Just unpack it for us, please.
The usufructuary is those type of beneficiary. Let's say, for example, when you ask the Katekani Mathye is still alive, he creates a trust or he drafts a will. Mm-hmm. And then in that particular trust, he said, my money should be kept in the trust until for this particular child who's Karabo. Karabo can only access that money when he's turned 25. But before he turns 25, he will need support. When he claims the money, he claims as usufructuary. It's an usufructuary from that particular money because it's not entitled to it yet.
All right.
Then he claims on that particular level it's an usufructuary. It's a beneficiary through trust.
Okay, here's another one. The untraced, undetermined heirs. May you want to jump in on that one and just unpack it for us, please?
Untraced heirs is whereby when the estate is finalized and there are major beneficiaries on those estates, and then the lawyers, they can't trace that person, and that person become untraced heir on that estate.
Let's go to Western Cape, and we're talking to Ria. You're calling from Vredendal. Good evening to you, Ria.
Good evening.
Yes, Ria, what is your question?
Yes, I want to know about that interest structure because I'm the guardian of Adrian Jacobs.
Okay, you would like, sorry, I missed you there, Maria. What do you would like to know about?
About the interest. I already get money from the guardian fund for Adrian that his father died early in this year.
Okay.
And my daughter already passed away in an accident in 2010. So I want to know now the money they told me from the Guardian Fund that is finished now. But in the beginning, they said there is also an interest. So I want to know now what you must do to get the interest.
All right, 100%. I think I do get you, Ria. Thank you so much for calling in. Let's go to the northwest. Comrade Ruisa Nele Pindile. Pindile?
Okay.
The guy Pindile. Right, put how ring.
My question is that there was a guidance fund for testing, so it's no longer there. So I want the address of the new one. Where is it? That's question number one.
All right. Have you got another question?
Another question. There's a daughter whose father has passed away, and then there was a money from Metal Provident Fund. So the mother usually got the money every month. So the problem now is that the mother has passed away, and then the child, I think, is 18 because she completed midweek. So she can't trace where the money now is because usually the mother was getting it in the bank.
Okay. Basically, it's all about locating where the funds are. All right, Pindile, we'll see how we can help you on that one there, all right?
Okay.
Let's go to Samuel. Samuel, ole jalo molechi batho ba ga Limpopo ke ba kwa sheba ba khona lo gore ba re founele tšatšing le gono ke thapa. Samuel,
a enta le kae?
rona le kae?
Rona papa ke go botšiša gore na le ka advise motho ka ge šetše le bolla guardian fund e le gore motho mongwe o na le provident fund go ba motho mongwe o na le insurance e tshwana le insurance go ba e tshwana le wile mogola e ka ba mofete ka advise motho a dire provident fund a na le provident fund ka mogogela go ba na le insurance go ba dire le wile gore a ba joine guardian fund motho o khotsa jang o e joine ba o ba ke batho ba government fela na or just a ordinary person a ka ba le yona na.
All right, re a leboga Samuel go lwena o re letse mogala kere.
Ke a leboga ke mo moletši FM.
Re a leboga moletši FM gore le nna le ile la tšea karolo mo kgatlhong ya rena ya boše gompieno gono. Leina la ka ke Karabo Lance, ke thabela go ba le lena. 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Ria wants to find out about the interest. I think the story or the background that she gave us, key the issue ya gore the funds were there, the funds were claimed, right? But she's got an understanding of whether there were interests lying somewhere. Is that possible, or do you think maybe the funds that were there, they were already attached to? How does it work in the case of Ria?
In the case of Ria, the Guardian Fund works like this. When the money gets deposited into the Guardian Fund, that money accumulates interest on monthly basis.
Already, ne?
Yes.
Okay.
And when we administer that particular fund, when they make application for the money in the Guardian Funds, we first pay out interest before we go to the capital. So it's not possible that she can claim the capital while the interest is still left behind. We first exhaust the interest, then we pay the capital.
So would you say that in the case of Ria, the money that she's received is the capital plus interest?
Correct.
And the interest were given to her first?
Yes.
All right, Ria, there you have it. If you've got a follow-up question, you're more than welcome to call me back again. 0800 142 446. Pindile called in again. A battle to hear Pindile, and I'm very sorry about this, but the least I could get from her call was that it sounds like the person had Provident Fund, and for some reason, no one can locate those funds. That's the least I could get from there.
Okay.
So maybe let's structure the question by saying, if there were funds somewhere, and if we know maybe as family of relatives, there must be funds somewhere, what could be the possible or proper way or the right way to go about to establish different places where the monies could be?
The person must first go to where the late was working as a first stop, to check with the HR where did they take the money of the person who is late, and also if the money that is if it's in the guardian fund, the person has to come up with a proof that the money has been paid into the guardian fund. Like from the lawyers who were drawing up the estate, they'll give her a proof that the money is paid into the guardian fund, and which guardian fund and how much was it, and who are the beneficiaries from that estate.
So the funds cannot just disappear.
No.
They can be traced. But the first, if you you will have to go to where Ogramolo Bailey. That's the first point of contact, is to go to the employer and to start there to trace the funds, especially when you're talking about the Provident Fund and so forth. So there you have it. Pindile. I hope you answered them. And someone wanted to know advice that you could give possibly. He's mentioned quite a few things, really. Provident Fund, he's mentioned the will, he's mentioned insurance. He wants to know what all these things say. The relation to them, is it the same thing as the Guardian Fund, or they're different? In fact, the one thing that he wanted to know was that Guardian's Fund, is it for public employer or public employees, or is it for any other person?
Okay.
Public service employees or any other person.
Okay, before I go to somewhere, let me first add on Pindile's questions. You see, to identify, to check where your late father or your late parent money is. Firstly, you can also check with the Guardian Fund. Through the Guardian Fund, we what we call, they advertised annually through September of all the monies which has been deposited into the Guardian Fund. They put on a government gazette where they list all the monies which are in the Guardian Fund. So if she does not know, or she has went to the previous employer of the parent and they can't give her information, she could also wait for the government gazette to be issued and check if that money was deposited into the Guardian Fund without them knowing.
All right, okay.
And then coming to Samuel, the Guardian Fund accept money not only from the pension fund. It can be the money from the will, when he specifically mentioned that, can I also make a will to make provision for the money to go into the Guardian Fund? That's true, because the Guardian Fund is it administers the money which comes through the Administration of Estate Act.
All right.
So you can draft a will so that when he has passed on that particular will, he has make a provision that when I die, the proceeds of my estate which is supposed to go to my kids will go to the Guardian Fund, and will accept that. It can be the money which results from the road accident fund, the court orders. If the money belongs to the minor, it will definitely have to come to the Guardian Fund. The pension fund money also, normally when you join the company or for the government employees, let me just give you an example. They will give you a form when you nominate the beneficiaries,
right,
when I die. Mm-hmm. So in that process, it will eventually ending up in the Guardian Fund if the beneficiaries are minors.
Lubabalo wants to find out, what does the master do with the monies of undetermined or absent heirs?
Okay. The monies of undetermined heirs, let's say for example there's a money which came into the Guardian Fund and it's for the minor. That money, after the money has become claimable for 5 years, there's no claim for that particular money, then that money gets to pay to the receiver of revenue register. When the money is being paid there, it doesn't mean that that money cannot be claimed. The money will have to stay there for 30 years. After 30 years, then it gets forfeited into the state in terms of Section 9 of the Administration of Estate Act.
Let's go to Letabile Ruisanele. Me Julia. Hi, Julia.
Yeah.
Hey, Legame.
Redden.
Putso how ring.
Then I have a visit. I made it sure they are provide fund. Provide fund. I say getting.
Yeah, Provident Fund, is that?
Yes.
Okay, I say great. And you would like to know as a family to go and access that money?
Yes.
All right. Julia, Julia, if you can, guys, so as she's mentioned now, and then there's money selling for the Provident Fund, and was supposed to even go claim these funds, but unfortunately she passed on. Bona as a family, to go and access those funds.
Some topo twanti like ausi na bereka ko kae ona a bereka ko government eng kampo na bereka ko private sector na, because government tšhelete teng e ya ko GEPF whilst the private companies dinale the provident fund tsa tsona.
Right.
Tshwantse pele a ye ko employer whereby employer ta molela gore tšhelete ya gae e o itse ko kae if it's for a private company. Then if it's for the government employees, then auto go GEPF.
All right, 100%. And we do have the GEPF officers here in Hatfield. I will look for those numbers quickly and I'll give them to you before the end of the show. 0800 142 446 Rock City in KZN. There's people listening there. Thank you so much. Sispongile. Kunjani sisam? Ngiyaphila ubuzo wakho uthini?
Ngibulalela lapha station radio Khwezi uma ulalela sona lesi station ngoba ulenza iphutha.
Hayi siyabonga Khwezi.
Sikade 20 years. Ngifisa nje Karabo ukubonga kakhulu ngalezi zinhlelo enisibethela zona.
Awu siyabonga.
Siyazuza kakhulu lokho niqale umhla ka3 nangomhla ka9 kuze kube namhlanje. Kuningi sengizuzile noma ngilalele kodwa kuningi sikuzuzayo. Siyabonga kakhulu bonga nani Khwezi nje. Asinebe njalo lokho enisibethela lezi zinhlelo.
Awu siyabonga ma.
Ngisiyane lo.
Ukhona umbuzo kodwa?
Hayi benamhlanje nje no comment kuphela nje bengibonga.
Awu siyabonga ma. Yazi siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi kunabantu bangasifonela nje basishela ukuthi yazi lo msebenzi lo niwenzayo umuhle kabi. Hayi siyabonga mama. Siyabonga neKhwezi futhi ukuthi time and time again, in fact each and every single program since we've started bake bayithatha. Siyabonga mama Sibongile.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Awuzweke. Arenta ungo Northwest Rwisanele Agisanang.
Hello.
Le gandad.
Re gona re tshelo kae?
Re teng man, potso ha wereng.
Potso ke gore if you were left money as a minor and no trust was created, even na gore madi a tseng a tla ka go guardians fund. Go khona gala go lo kae gore after turning 18 years then o katla wa tlhagela wa itlemela one ka boe.
After 18, ne?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the key point Mola Bailemba mentioned earlier on is that a minor needs to, well, a minor necessarily under 18 you cannot claim, but after 18 you can. But are checking the procedures in terms of what to do. We did touch on them, but don't worry about it. We did touch on what you need to do once you reach 18 and above. What are the procedures that you can do? Thank you so much for calling in. All right, let's touch Are Simulenkaya Achisanang in terms of now you are 18, maybe even 19, going 20 and upwards. And there were monies that were left behind. No trust was created. Once you reach that age, as a person, where do you start to start claiming those monies?
You on that particular instance, you will have to come to the Guardian Fund with his identity document. When it will be verified that indeed is the beneficiary of that particular fund. Then once it's there, we'll do the biometric checks to check indeed if the particular person, because we've got people who are coming there to make claims unsubstantiated. So we will verify if it's him, and if it's him, we will confirm, and then we will request the banking details, and then the money is deposited through his bank to him.
All right. Now, how long does it take? What are the process claiming they're done and everything is in place? All that needs to be done, those funds should be then released. What time period are we looking at?
Currently, if he's saying he's in Taung, he can fill those forms in the satellite office where it will be nearer to him, and they will post them to Pretoria, whereby Pretoria will do the payment. Roughly, it will take a maximum of 40 working days for us to be able to pay the client into his account.
All right, cool stuff. Let's go to Limpopo, go Bochum, and then we'll Manuku. Manuku lagaina. Rona pulas ka kungerekwe.
Rona le kae?
Rona pushwal na ring.
Putswa ke malebana le gore re se tsekele mmano go ke dula le motlhokomedi wa lelapa ka gae le le regular motlhokomedi wa lelapa ka gae wa batla ba gore ke tsena sekolo nne ge ke tsena sekolo nna e ka ba ke dumeletse gore re setse motho yo a dulang le nna ka mo lapeng ya shikere go maikarabelo tena re mo la shikere maikarabelo a se shumise tshetse go ala ka fa le gore go o e tsona go shumisa ka go nna e ka ba wa kgonagala gore nna ke le ka ngwana ke tle ke shikere maikarabelo a o le gore o ba shikere gona go le gore wa kgonagala o tshwantse go bana ke na le ngwaga e mekae.
All right, Manuku, that's a very interesting question. Pucho be ntse ke pucha gore bile be le pucho leng gore ke nyako go ibutsisha gore na go dira galanga le gore di tšhelete tše wa di šomišo ka mokgwa leng gore kwa maleba tla gore kwa gore ba ya raba ka gore eng akere
ke a
leboga mongaka 0800 142 446 0800 142 446. Tembisa coming up again from GP Dumisani. Good evening to you, Dumisani. Sephila kunjani baba?
Khumalo Tumzana.
Awuzweke baba?
Ngicela ukuphuma ngale ndlela sekukhona ukubuza kancane nje umbuzo la. Mfowethu kusuthi ngiye ngaba nenkinga ukubona ngokuhlala eThembisa then ngaya eSprings then ngithe mangifika eSprings ngacabana nomuntu ukubona then sabe ukuthi sifakana izandla uyangizona. Then sathi masifakana izandla then ngaba ukuthi sukuyaliwa wahamba wangibophisa then ngaye court nangifike court khona ngangibosha nokubosha ngangibizela just court ngafike court ngabhadala 300 rand. Then I think something manje mfowethu ukuthi in a case a criminal record bathi izophumeka after 10 years uyangithola since ezela ngo 2006 namanje ayikacineki nasemsebenzini la mosebenza khona bagcina sabazoshalana le criminal record so ngizama ngandlela yokuthi ngifuna ukuyiqinisa ukuthi ngiyenzani ngiyahluleka andikhumbule ngubaba ngikwamela ngisupport umndeni wami mangithi ngifuna umsebenzi bangitshela ngama criminal record ngizwamela ngihlala ngasebenzi ngaso ngifuna ukubuza mfowethu ukuthi into enjengalena ngazama ukuthi isixazulule kanjani ukuthi nami ngithathe le criminal record ngoba akusiyo ukutshontsha akusiyo ukuthi ngibulele umuntu isithathu ukuqabana umuntu bese ukuthi fakana izandla bese apho angibophise ngiyangizwa.
Okay, but to me, this evening we're dealing issues with Guardian Fund, but that does not mean we should not help you. I wish you had called in about 2 weeks ago. I think 3 weeks ago we were dealing with those type of matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your details down. We're going to get a hold of our guests from 2 weeks back who were dealing with that type of issue. I mean, they were dealing with issues how issues can you actually get rid of your criminal records and so forth. And the interesting thing in before you even leave Babudumi is that did you even appear before the court, before the judge?
Laphana futhi wami ngithena ngifika kushuthi into khona yenzeka lesiprince le ngaya ngolesihlanu ngathi ngifika laphana bangijethi iposa la khona liyangifuna ngithena ngifika kule posa la khona ngithi ngiyeza bathi uyangifuna umfunelani wavela ukuthi mina ngicela ufaka ama fingerprints la akakhuluma nami nebe wathi ufaka ama fingerprints la ngafaka ama fingerprints la wathi kushaya mina wathi hamba uye ekhaya ubuye ngeMonday uzofika ngo-first aid then bese uze uphethe 300 rand uyangithola ngathi okay akunankinga mangizolo ngihamba ngaya ekhaya nangibuya ngeMonday yakhona ngabuya ngithina ngibuya angena ecourt ngaphansi ngithina ngena ecourt ngaphansi laphana akukhulunywa ngafokola zangibuza isara ngiyavuma or ngiyaliphika kuvele nje wathiwa khipha le 300 rand ngikhipha le 300 rand so mangithe ngiyahamba ngiyabuza ngenzani kuthiwa le cala lami bathi mina ngilivumile and icala khona azange ngivumele ukuvuma azange ngikhulume nokukhuluma nezo.
Okay, Tumsani, you know what? It's a very serious one, this one. And I want you to go follow it up. I want you to go and follow it up, and we're going to help you to do that. We're going to put you in contact with the people that are dealing with exactly that type of thing. There were ladies that were in the studio about 2 to 3 weeks ago that were dealing with that type of thing. But now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to have all your facts right. I want you to tell all your story correctly as it happened so that they can tap into the details and be able to help you, because something doesn't sound right with this one here. But to me, don't worry about it. My producer will take your number down and keep you in touch with those people. How about that? okay, Pratnums. All right, so let's go to Matwabe in Senegal in the Free State, and we're chatting to Mohlatupa. He's a regular caller, and I would like to thank him for being so loyal to our shows for the past couple of weeks. Mohlatupa has been calling us. Mohlatupa. Legendad. Man, put our ring.
Ntate ne ke botsa ke tsatsing hore ke nna sa batlang a utlwisisa hantle. Kukwa morare tšhelete ena ke ya dipoko nta. Jwale ntate potso ka ne re a butwa ka o bile a tlhokahala. A tsetetse tšhelete. Jwale potso ke hore na o nana le mosadi. Ne marana sina bana le mosadi. Jwale ha sa tlhokaetse ke ska mo re tšhelete eo a role le mosadi wa hae.
All right, but before Oka Tsama Mohlatupa, was there a will that was left behind ki Budwahao? Okay, I'm not going to ask you what the contents of that will is. It's not something in public. But let's check how it can work in terms of that. If there was a will in place, how does it work? Let's see how we can sort it out.
Thank you, Dad.
All right, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, this one, because he wants to find out. The brother passed on. Obviously, there were monies that were left behind. He wants to know if he can have a share to those monies. And hence I'm asking him, was there a will in place? Because that will be then the first basis of direction in terms of where do we go from here as a family when one has passed on? What happens to his estate? The type of thing. But your take on that matter?
On that particular matter, let's start from the scratch. He's saying the brother was married and he's got a wife.
Right.
Let's assume, although he didn't give us facts, they were married in community of property.
Right.
Or whatever type of the marriage they were married in. When his brother passed on, and then he's saying there was a will. In that particular will, I hope, and then the will has explained that when I die, who should be the executor, who should inherit what. Let's say, for example, there's no will, and then the brother passed away.
Let me even throw the spanners in the work. Maybe they're not even married in community of property.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, they are married. But we don't know the marital regime of them, whether in community or not.
Okay.
When he passed on, the surviving spouse will be the one to go and report the estate, irrespective of the type of the marriage.
Okay.
Then the wife will be the executor of the estate, and then she will be appointed as an executor. Firstly, she will go to the master office and report the estate, and then the representative of the estate will be appointed, depending on the value of the estate. If the estate is 250,000 or less, we issue what we call letter of authority to that particular person to go and administer the estate.
Okay.
Then in his instances, let's say for argument's sake, the estate was less than 125,000 rand and there's a surviving spouse, meaning, and there's no children on this one. Then the surviving spouse will be the sole beneficiary in the particular estate.
So
the brother is not involved unless if there's a will specifically mentioning him that he should be the beneficiary. Otherwise, he's not inheriting.
All right, I heard you. I hope you heard that, Mohlatupa. We've got about 3 minutes to go before we close it up. Let me take two last callers quickly from Durban. I'm chatting to Daniel. Daniel, good evening to you.
Hello.
Hi, Daniel. Yes, what is your question, sir?
Thank you very much for your informative program. I just want to find out, I work for Durban Municipality and I went on retrenchment. I got 1/3 of my pension and the 2/3 I collect a monthly pension. I am not divorced and I want to know, do I get a beneficiary if something goes wrong? If I pass away, what happens to my fund?
All right, thank you so much, Daniel. Would you like to quickly answer that one, maybe let's give it to Maya. Okay, or do you want to do it? Anyone can do it.
Okay. Let me take this one. He's saying he was working for municipality and he has been he was retrenched. He got a certain portion of his pension fund, and the other one was being administered by the pension fund, wherein he was getting a monthly benefit.
Right.
And then the surviving spouse is divorced.
Right.
then that particular money, I think it's governed by the Pension Fund Act. It's not one of those which will eventually end at the guardian fund, because it did not indicate whether he had a child whom after that he can benefit, the money can be deposited to the guardian fund.
So the guys about GEPF they will be able to give them direction exactly what could happen in that.
Yes, I think there are regulations wherein you get it. If there are no beneficiaries, I don't know how their forfeiture clause will work into that, but I don't think it will have to do with the guardian fund.
All right, cool stuff. Aleta in El Dorado Park. Aleta in Eldos. Okay, we've lost Aleta there. All right, we had a caller earlier on, which is our last one before we close it up. Manuku says, say for instance, a beneficiary or a guardian has been allocated the funds, and maybe the guardian is with children, and the fund is not used properly, or maybe things are not being taken care of the way they should. What can they do in that instance? Is there help for them in that type of instance?
Ngwana if motsadi ha berekise tšhelete ha sente, ngwana o khona ho tla ko guardian fund a notify guardian fund gore ke na le guardian ha berekise tšhelete right for my benefit, and then the guardian fund will put a note on the file to say that the child was here and the guardian is not using the money correctly for the benefit of the child, whereby we'll stop making payments to that guardian. And then the minor in this instance will have to get a new guardian who will be appointed by the social workers or the court. The guardian fund will keep that money until the new guardian is appointed, or will keep that money until the child turns 18 and apply for himself.
Okay, at least there is hope on that regard. There's hope. You would like to add on that?
Yeah, just to add on that, and then it's possible that, if the child can prove that indeed has been misused, he can come and notify us, give us service provider. Let's say, for example, it's a child, a student at school. He can give us details of the service provider, the particular school, the university, right. Or if there's somebody, for example, is using transport, who's transporting the child, they can give the information. We are able to pay direct to the service provider.
And to
avoid this guardian who's misusing the fund.
Which helps, really. It really does help. Maybe as a final goodbye, is there a central number where people can get a hold of you guys if they want to find out a little bit more about the Guardians Fund? Is there perhaps a number or numbers that they can call?
Yes, our number is 012-339-7713 or 012-339-7815.
There we go. Mr. Mathye Katekani, as well as MIP Sophie Pitse. My name is Karabo Lance, my producers, Kinta Mazibugo, Linda Tesanyani, Reginald, as well as Linda Mazibugo. Thank you so much. As well as Simona on our Facebook page and our Twitter page, and some of our guests this evening. Camera people, making sure that this information gets to you on YouTube. It's the guys from our video department as well. We'd like to thank you guys for that as well. Tebza, thank you so much on camera 1, on camera 2, Kingari Ming. We'd like to thank you guys for that as well. All right, tomorrow we're having a program where we're looking forward to the Minister of Communication, Minister Faith Motambi, who's going to be talking about the Tucson Service Week that's kicking off from Monday next week. In fact, I'm going to be joining the Minister on, when am I joining the Minister? On Sunday. And Mr. Mazibugo is going to be joining the Minister tomorrow. We're going to try to get as many information as we can for you so that we can give you that information. But Tucson Service Week, looking forward to that. Join us again tomorrow at 5:06 for the show where the Minister is going to be in the studio and you can interact with her directly. Otherwise, next week, back by popular demand on Thursday, is going to be the DOJCD program of maintenance. We've had a couple of callers of people saying, look, the show was very short. It was an hour. Can you bring it back again? Well, next week, Thursday, the show is coming back again. So looking forward to be with you. From myself, Karabo Lance, ciao, ciao. Let's meet again tomorrow at 5:06.